Hey, hey, hey. Right. How y'all doing today, man? We're going to do this Nyabinghi thing today. We're going to talk Nyabinghi. So I found this information on several different websites. So that's what I'm going to do is deal with those websites. And they got information, so I'm going to deal with the information I see there. On the websites as far as the Nyabinghi. Now, what is happening though? I found it on several different websites, and the one I'm going to use first is the one that I'm going to start with. It says here definitions, and definitions for Nyabinghi. But I saw it on. This is what I'd like to see though. Trying to find where I put it. I put I got the Urban Dictionary. I got the standard definitions and translations and stuff. And we're going to just read through a few of them real quick. So I'll start with the Wikipedia first and see how that goes. So right now, Wikipedia says Nyabinghi is, how did they put this? All right. Nyabinghi, Wikipedia. Go in there first because I lost the other one I wanted to do. So the first article is Nyabinghi. And this particular article is about the East African woman. And for the Rastafarian denomination, you have to see Nyabinghi Mansion Rastafari. So in this one is Nyabinghi, with or without an H, is a prominent figure in history of Rwanda, in the history of Rwanda, Uganda, and Tanzania areas, where religions or possession cults formed around her and her reputation, her name and stuff. Okay. Now it says probably via the 1930s article, the term Nyabinghi was introduced to Jamaica. There it was adopted by practitioners of Rastafari, a new, at that time, religious movement that used the term to describe their gatherings, and later a drumming style used in religious practices. This is Wikipedia. I didn't write any of this. I'm just reading off what I see here. Right? Now, Nyabinghi, origins. Nyabinghi was a legendary Rwandan, Ugandan, Tanzania woman. Why they saying all that is because that's the area. Those countries didn't even exist when I was born. So I know they didn't exist when she was born. So they're just giving you those names for the area. All right. Nyabinghi was the legendary woman whose name is reported to mean the one who possesses many things. The date and place of her birth are contested. Jim Friedman, an anthropologist who studied the Nyabinghi movement in Rwanda, Uganda, dates the birth of Nyabinghi between 1750 and 1800. This is how far Nyabinghi goes back according to Wikipedia. 1750 to 1800, Nyabinghi. All right. The religion, as they're saying it here, because I found it, I'm going to read another person's whatever thing about it too, and periodically I'll come back here to see what's going on in the live stream. If anyone comes in, I'm in. They can talk to me. I don't mind. If anyone wants to see it, it'll be on later. So that's not a big problem either. So let's get back to this. The veneration or worship of the deity or spirit of the woman known as Nyabinghi began in Rwanda around 1800. She was thought to be a powerful force in everyday life. Religious practice operated through a medium who was in communication with the spirit of Nyabinghi. To appease her spirit, believers brought offerings to the medium who would negotiate with the spirit on the believer's behalf. While there were specific mediums that communicated with Nyabinghi directly, Nyabinghi could also possess ordinary people who were not leaders or official mediums within the religion. Belief in this religion was particularly strong in the southern parts of Uganda and the northern regions of Rwanda, areas which had formerly been part of the pre-colonial kingdom of Ndorwa. Ndorwa. All right, pre-colonial kingdom. So those people are. That's why I say they're saying these things like Rwanda and Uganda. Those are new names for locations. That's why some of them are in Rwanda, some of them are in Uganda. That's how the colonialists divided the people in different states like that, so they wouldn't be in one state they can gather up. Anyway, the next person was Muhamusa. Now, under the name Muhamusa, Nyabinghi was said to have possessed a Rwandan Ugandan woman named Muhamusa, who was a famous Nyabinghi medium in the 1800s to the early 1900s. Muhamusa led a campaign against Yuhi V of Rwanda, claiming to be a mother to the rightful heir to the Rwandan throne. She also led and then inspired further anti-colonial movements in East Africa, rebelling against European colonial authorities. Although she was captured in 1913, alleged possessions by Nyabinghi continued afterwards across East Africa, mostly afflicting women. The bloodline of the true Nyabinghi warriors supposedly settled in the heart of Dzimba, Zimbabwe, now known as Zimbabwe. All right. So that's about Muhamusa, who was a famous woman up until 1913, who was said to be possessed by the spirit of Nyabinghi. But Nyabinghi had come in between 1750 herself and 1800. All right. Now the influence of on Rastafari. Under this topic, it says the term Nyabinghi may have reached Jamaica via an article written by the Italian journalist Federico Falas. This article was first published in Italy in 1934 and then in the Jamaican Times in 1935. Falas, the journalist, the Italian guy, claimed that there was a secret society across South Africa called the Nyabinghi, which was devoted to the message, death to all white farmers. Now, this is in South Africa. Phalos claimed that there was a secret society across South Africa called the Nyabinghi, which was devoted to the message, death to all white farmers. And I just heard yesterday, I mean, this is an aside, I just heard yesterday that a dude was saying there's over 4 million Nyabinghi roster in South Africa today. I had no idea that anybody even thought that kind of numbers was there. But that's what he said. We'll go further because I know, I know a roster to be all over the earth, actually. So now, death to all white farmers, what they say that's what it devoted as a message. He also maintained that Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie had been made head of this order in 1930 at a secret meeting held in Moscow, capital of the Soviet Union. Another thing I just heard. The Soviet Union and in the person of Putin has just said they will throw out all the loans and debts that they have on Africa. I just heard that yesterday. So I don't know. I'm just reading this thing now. Now, Philos, maybe the Italian guy who wrote the article, Philos's article was designed as propaganda to rally support for European colonial attempts to suppress anti-colonial efforts on the African continent. In Jamaica, the article influenced early practitioners of Rastafari. Now, this article came out in 1935. A religion that had emerged in the 1930s, devoting itself to Haile Selassie. On the island, the term Nyabinghi came to be used to describe a gathering of Rasta. Okay, by the 1950s, various Rasta drummers in Jamaica had developed a style of ritualistic music, which they called Nyabinghi drumming. It was influenced by various older Afro-Jamaican musical styles. So it was influenced by various older Afro-Jamaican musical styles, including Buro drumming and the ritual drum styles found in the religions such as Kumina and Revival Zion. The term Nyabinghi also came to be used to describe one of the oldest branches of Rastafari, known as the House of Nyabinghi. Among Rasta women, Queen Nyabinghi, as well as Empress Menen Asfaw, is often perceived as a symbol of woman's agency to resist domination. Now that's the whole Wikipedia joint right there that I just read. So I'm gonna go out of Wikipedia and go to this next thing, which is called definitions. And I found this to be interesting. There's a website called Definitions. It said the dictionary definitions page includes all the possible meanings, example usage, and translations of the word Nyabinghi. All right. So now they say, of course, they quote in Wikipedia, Nyabinghi is the oldest of the branches of Rastafari. These these Rastafari are the strictest out of the six or so major groups. They pledge love to all human beings and do not believe in violence because they believe that only Jah has the right to destroy. They make this pledge because of the power of words, believing that only when all of Jah's children make the pledge together, the oppressors will be destroyed. In addition, they are often nonviolent or follow the just war theory. That's what this page is saying. Now they have something else here. I'm gonna go through that too. The Chaldean numerology, the numerical value of Nyabinghi in the Chaldean numerology is 6. Pythagorean numerology, the value of Nyabinghi is 8. All right. And there you go with that part of it. There's another piece down here that I care to read as soon as I get to it. All right. That's all they're giving me on that one. So I go to the next one. This next site says, oh, this is the site I wanted to start with, but I didn't realize what it was. It's called www.africaresource.com. And I found this one to be real good because they point directly at the okay, it starts off like this. Lioness Nyabinghi, priestess, queen, mother of Africa. This article was 2008 by someone named Don Jaide. Okay, Jaide. So I'll go on with the reading. Nyabinghi, according to most modern urban legend on Rastafari, the word Nyabinghi has a somewhat complicated history. It was originally associated with an uprising against white European colonialism in southwestern Uganda during the mid to late 1800s and the early part of the 1900s. The movement was mainly led by a number of women, including a Karamistic healer called Muhamusa, who was much feared. She was believed to be possessed by the spirit of the legendary Amazon queen, Nyabinghi. Muhamusa not only inspired a vast popular following, but also organized military action against the German colonists. The tenuity of this oversimplified explanation that mixes facts and fantasies need to be pointed out. The first is that there is no place in Africa called Amazon, and there was never an in existence at any time any Amazon Queen of Africa. Now, I've heard that before, and I've heard the people of the Amazon to be referred to as the same as those people there as called Amazonians. You'll find that in a lot of old readings as you come across them older than these 1600. They weren't referring to Africa because they didn't really know Africa. They knew they didn't know the sub-Saharan. They knew northern Africa where the Moors and the Berbers were hanging out. But that was all part of the Roman Empire. They didn't really know of anybody being south of the Sahara until I think that Mansa Musa went up there and started making noise. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. But I've heard the word Amazon in connection with brown-skinned people actually all my life in almost every book I read. But they say it has nothing to do with Africa, which is okay. I don't have no problem with that because, that's what it says here. Now let's finish. But there was always in existence an African queen of queens whose memory still lingers in so many stories and legends right across Africa, like the Queen Sheba. He said the Queen Sheba. So now we know where he's coming from because her name was Makeda or Magda, not Sheba. And the Empress Kandake. All right. As the story goes, the spirit of this African empress, Nyabinghi, this dread lioness, queen of queens, avenger of her father and son, subsists in Africa and the diaspora until this day, manifesting her presence and actions in this physical domain through spiritual possession, inspiration, and mental transformation. There are various names for this historical African queen of queens, but at a time she was known in the cradle of the Egyptian and Kushite civilization in the Upper Nile areas toward the borders of modern southern Sudan and Uganda as Queen Nyabinghi. The name Nyabinghi was a synonym for Sekhmet, though the true details of her life has been subsumed in legends. Queen Nyabinghi was the archetypical priestess queen of a province of Upper Kush, Ethiopia, Egypt, who rebelled against the oppressive, life-denying evil regime which disrupted order and stability in the motherland through the instrumentality of foreign occupation, external manipulation, and local collaboration. That's beautiful. All right. Descent of the authentic lineage of the ancient Kushite king of kings, this dreadlocked little African princess fled from the corrupting influence of the evil forces of oppression into the inner reaches of the great forests. Nyabinghi took refuge in forests spanning modern Congo, Sudan, and Uganda. There, in an act of daring and defiance, she established a mass guerrilla army of dread rebels known as the Children of Nyabinghi, or Bingis for short, which fought against the collusive cabal of pale forces oppressing the ancient motherland until oppression fled from the motherland. Nyabinghi's self-sacrificing and daring action took the foreign overlords by surprise and aided by the spiritual power of Sekhmet. Nyabinghi and her warriors soon crushed the oppressive regime and chased it away from the land. Justice, peace, and stability then ringed again. Codes of Nyabinghi, another heading. The natural ebullience of Nyabinghi, her intelligence and her charisma soon made her a focus of fanatical devotion for her followers. Her male and female dreadlocked devotees sought leadership and spiritual guidance from her insight. She left a code of living for her followers. This code was necessary in maintaining their natural connection with their maternal origin, the earth. First and foremost, Nyabinghi is the true defender of the peace, justice, and order in the motherland. To Nyabinghi, there is nothing more precious than the humble soil of Africa on which the Bingis are born, where they grow and into whose embrace they shall sleep continuously. Nyabinghi loves all humanity without compromise. Queen Nyabinghi adulates the works of her father and her son. So should all the Bingis. Bingis are the guardian of the land and the brothers and sisters to all that live right in creation. Love them, respect them, and show them compassion always. Bingi deals only with righteousness, action, righteous action, thoughts, and words. A follower of Nyabinghi does no wrong. Wrong weakens the strong. Bingis will always share water with the thirsty, food with the hungry, clothes with the naked, and a boat for whoever would cross the river. Nyabinghi shows loyalty and sincerity to the just, but the unjust were to be cleansed with fire. Yes, we agree. I agree with you, Janadu, Ethiopia for both of those. I'm reading from this guy's article, and I didn't get much into like picking it apart yet. So I want to read it first, see what it say, and then I'll be back because I'm still reading. Nyabinghi shows loyalty and sincerity to the just, but the unjust were to be cleansed with fire. As postscripts, some versions of the story hold that Nyabinghi lost her life in the struggle. Others say she lost her eye. Others talk about the loss of limbs or children. The point is that the struggle launched by Nyabinghi came at a great personal cost to her, but it brought untold and everlasting gains to the land. of the Cushites. What a royal soul. Now he says Cushites and all the words that I don't really use or deal with, but I'm reading his article, that's the words he used. The selflessness, fortitude, steadfastness of Nyabinghi increased the commitment of her devotees, even after she had physically departed Earth, which is in itself was controversial, as many believed that she had simply vanished rather than died. Mediums, prophets, and sages still reported of communication and contact with this ever-loving patroness of righteous Africa. Soon, words came that Nyabinghi would be born again, that Nyabinghi would rise again somewhere, somehow, amongst the children of Africa at home and in the diaspora, whenever and wherever the need calls. For millennia, her worship has persisted in Africa. Her mediums, devotees, and followers and prophets are easily identifiable by their dreadlocks and their lion and lioness totem, and almost overbearing commitment to the welfare of Africa and Africans always pervaded the continent. These are the worshippers of Nyabinghi in Africa who have dreadlocks and their lion and lioness totem, and an almost overbearing commitment to the welfare of their land and their people. The early colonialists and subsequent slavers from Europe unwittingly reported of a secretive but coordinated continent-wide resistance against colonial depredations. I'm going to read that again. The earlier colonists and subsequent slavers from Europe unwittingly reported of a secretive but coordinated continent-wide resistance against colonial depredations. There were reports of subversive and insurgent activities by certain faceless cults operating throughout Africa against colonial against colonial incursion. So they say it was a nationwide, a continent-wide resistance of a secretive cult. I heard of that in the U.S. too, but I'll get to that at another time. I knew some elders, they over 100 years old, man. They were telling me stuff y'all people, y'all be against, they were for, because that's what they say kept them at a certain pace. Anyway, simultaneous accounts from Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Gambia, Senegal, Sudan, Congo, and Uganda detailed vigorous resistance movements against the thrust of the European powers. Although armed with better weapons, the British soldiers were always in dread of encounters with one of those groups. They were courageous, fearless, and formidable in action. In death, they went with a royal dignity. It was as if they met their deaths willingly. This resistance was alive also in the maroon communities of the penal slave islands of the Caribbean and in South America. You see, maroon communities, not no one maroon in one island, and penal slave islands in the Caribbean. There's not just Maroons in Jamaica. There are Maroons all over the Caribbean and in South America. In the United States, where the power of travesty was projected with pompous arrogance, resistance took the form of secret actions like random poisonings of the slave keepers, their animals, and the destruction of their livelihood through arson and other acts of vandalization on the slave plantation. I studied the American deal, so I know more about that than what he just said. But he's an African guy talking about a Nyabinghi. Now he's going to bring this up to Nyabinghi Muhamusa, who came after the original Nyabinghi. Nyabinghi Muhamusa, in the land of the first pharaohs in northern Uganda, near the borders with Sudan, the colonialists and slave masters encountered one of the incarnate forms of Sekhmet, the dread lioness, by way of a resistance movement fighting their depredations on the African soil. The savage European slavers encountered the Ugandan section of the Nyabinghi resistance when they sought the expansion of their slave trading activities into northern Uganda in the late 1800s. Now, Uganda, that was Idi Amin there. Idi, my man, though. Always love Idi. Idi kicked ass. This movement was led exclusively by women, and they fiercely resisted the incursion of the European savages. The tit for tat engage between Nyabinghi movement and the European savages lasted for well more than 50 years. I haven't seen this movie. This is an aside, right? I haven't seen the movie, some kind of queen, a warrior queen or something, but it's the same kind of story that we are seeing here. As a matter of fact, before the movie came out, that warrior queen was recited in old books. If you could find some old stories about her, the one they talked about right there in Ghana, they refer to her as an Amazon. I don't know what the word Amazon means, but when women come out like that, that's what it's called. All right. In the early 20th century, which is the 1900s, right? One of the most feared Nyabinghi's leaders was Muhamusa, a dreadlock guerrilla fighter. With the Nyabinghi movement, a person described by the illegal and illegitimate colonial governments established by the European savages as an extraordinary character. Her followers believed she was possessed by the spirit of the legendary Cushitic queen Nyabinghi, calling for a revival of right living through reliance on the principles of the forest code of the ancestral Nyabinghi. Muhamusa not only inspired a vast popular following of dreadlock lion and lionesses worshiping, hemp smoking, auxiliary fighters, but also organized military action against the German colonialists. This is very good. Yeah. The Nyabinghi movement was subsequently condemned by the British as witchcraft, and Muhamusa was captured in 1913. The Ugandan movement was relentlessly hounded by the government of the European savages. British effort to destroy the Nyabinghi movement was implicated. Its criminalization as witchcraft through Witchcraft Ordinance of 1912, which promoted Christianity and encouraged other indigenous anti-Nyabinghi cults. The British used the witch burning procedure of 15 and 1600 that were central in the transition from pre-capitalist to capitalist relations in Europe. Even after the capture of Nyabinghi Muhamusa, the uprising continued, nevertheless, led by other women and occasionally men who had become similarly possessed by the power and presence of she, who must be obeyed. The dreadlocked lioness, goddess of Africa, the queen of queens, and the majestic lady of power, Sekhmet Nyabinghi, the daughter and mother of the great god. Again, such brave resistance could not be so easily forgotten. It has lived on in many ways amongst the children of Africa at home and in diaspora, having much influence on the Rastafari tradition, in which so-called Nyabinghi codes of liberty and chant are very popular and usually form the basis of the annual groundation ceremonies. In Jamaican parlance, the name Nyabinghi has come to mean death to black and white oppressors. From the from the late 1800s to 1920 in the Caribbean islands, and especially in Jamaica, once again, the chant of Nyabinghi was heard. She was there. Her name, her presence, her forest code, her forest chants and drumming, her holy chalice, the cannabis hemp, her totemic animals, the lions and the lionesses, and her ever present dreadlocks followers, all were there too. Again, one encounters Nyabinghi in the West Indies chanting word, sound, and power in Jamaica, in the United States, in Canada, Africa, rising, fighting against savage oppression, chanting death and destruction onto black and white oppressors wherever they may be. These days, one observes the Bingis and the Bingis' children stepping forth to take the scepter, the royal staff of power, to restore stability all over the world. Given her antecedents, Sekhmet Bingi and her Bingi children will win this one once again. This was done by Jide Uwechia on November 15, 2008. So I'll see what's happening. Oh yeah, Warris, no problem. Jananu, I'm up on you. I'm going to go to the next one because I want to go through all this stuff about Nyabinghi, so we'll have an idea what this Nyabinghi is. When we say Nyabinghi, we're not just saying words like we be talking about what they call it, whatever Chinese word, we don't know what that means either. The Indian words. Anyway, so now I'm at Names Look, a website called Names Look. They look at names here, apparently. And they say the meaning of Nyabinghi is highly competitive, confident, and studious. This is the meaning based on numerology. Nyabinghi name, numerology is 8. And here you can learn how to pronounce Nyabinghi name, origin, numerology, and similar names to Nyabinghi. All right. So let's read what they got to say. We keep adding meaning. Okay, search in, sharing sites. Okay. We keep adding meanings and other info to all names. So keep visiting, to get this name's meaning and other information. Search ends when sharing starts. If you already know the meaning of Nyabinghi in English or another language, please contribute. Okay. Nyabinghi, name, personality by numerology. Numerology the expression number is 8. Heart's desire, the number is 1. Personality number, the number is 7. Talent analysis of Nyabinghi by expression number 8. You have the power and potential to achieve great things. It is both your challenge and your birthright to gain dominion over a part of the earth. Whatever your enterprise, you strive to be the best and most successful in your field. You are highly competitive and will not rest until you are satisfied that you have bypassed the opposition. You enjoy challenges and rivalry. You are a realist and a visionary planner. The inner analysis of Nyabinghi. Now, this is this word through name through numerology. All right. Inner analysis of Nyabinghi by heart. Number 1. Your overpowering need is to be independent and to direct your own life according to what you believe. Your dream is to become the leader of whatever field you enter, whether it is in business, community, or in your general area of expertise. You are driven to be the ringing figure. You have the courage and the confidence to lead others. You believe firmly that your judgment is preeminent over all others. Now, this is talking about Nyabinghi, the name through numerology, and it matches up pretty much with the historical analysis that I just read by G-Day. I know a guy named G-Day, so I don't mind using the term personally like that. Personality analysis of Nyabinghi by personality number 7. All right. You seem mysterious and different. People see you as serious and studious. You are highly independent and self-sufficient. Your exceptional intelligence and wisdom are quickly noticed. People respect you. You are not one to attract people on the basis of your warmth or compassion, though you may be loaded with both, but because of your obvious insight into life's mysteries. And this is just the information from that particular website going into the different by the numbers. Now, I found another one that does a similar thing. What does Nyabinghi stand for? The significance of the given name Nyabinghi gives you ambition, independence, strength, reliability, determination, and professionalism. What does Nyabinghi mean? Success and endurance are 2 words that describe you best. Success and endurance. See, that was very much in the historical setting of Nyabinghi. Setting yourself goals and giving everything you have to achieve them is a normal occurrence. Striving toward material success gives you a feeling of not being ordinary. Not a person who would ever give up on anything. For you to enjoy life more, try to sometimes take it less serious. People close to you can always count on your reliability. You are a responsible person who emits security. So this is like, how they do the name reading on people. I'll go through some of that, but there's an Urban Dictionary now. In the Urban Dictionary, I thought that was interesting too. Not being in the Urban Dictionary, not being is a Rastafarian lifestyle. In Rasta overstanding, Nyabinghi is the mystical power of the Most High to meet justice throughout the universe. Although the genuine origin of the word that means she possesses many things is Ugandan. As a concept, and theology. Nyabinghi has come down to the Rastaman to signify death to the oppressors, both black and white. Therefore, it is through prayer, music, and biblical reasonings that the Rastaman chants Bingi, calling on the forces of nature to destroy the powers of wickedness. Nyabinghi drumming and the rest of that stuff. The musical accompaniment consists of a heartbeat rhythm played in 4/4 time on a trinity of drums. Only Rastamen are allowed to play drums at Bingi, at Nyabinghi. Anyone may play shaka or shakere, thunder. This is the bottom of the Bingi ensemble, one of the drums I trust. There are rarely more than 2 thunder players at a gathering. It is a typical looking double-headed bass drum played with a mallet, an open tone on 1 and a dampened tone on 3. Occasionally, the thunder player will syncopate the rhythm. And they talk some more about the different, roster drums and all that. So pretty much, I'm done with this because I wanted to read what's her name, Nyabinghi was, so we could have an idea of what that is. Yeah. Oh, look, it's my man. All right, let's see what you said because I want to see you participate. Very good. That's why I went live because I want to see what's on the mind of people. British, Irish, Jamaican, Costa Rica. Yes, 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 yes. Shamanic, Germanic, manic is romantic is manic. Yeah, all manic. Naya plus Bing plus Gi. I don't know. I know that's the name of the queen, Nyabinghi from the 1700s. And well, that was long before Haile Selassie. And they already had the dreadlocks and the lion and the liberty. So when I first got to Jamaica, that's where I came. I knew Nyabinghi. I didn't know nothing about Rastafari. I knew about Nyabinghi, and from learning about Nyabinghi. So when I came, that's what I expected was to see some more shamanic, shaman. Shaman is from another line. Manic is over there. I agree. But Shah is from the shaman. Excuse me. Is a worldwide for animus, used for animus because we don't have priests. We don't really have priests. What they call priests. We have shaman, and that's not really a priest. So I just wanted to go over that. That's who Nyabinghi is a, a female, first of all, and she started out with fighting for the continuation of the line of her people instead of moving to some line that the colonialists were trying to install. And so, as they say in 1930, after something like that, the Jamaican heard about this and they picked up on the name, I guess, and the liberty factor, and what do you call it? Culturally appropriated, culturally appropriated. Because I first heard of the dreadlocks through the Mau Mau. I didn't even know about no Rastafari, and I knew about the Mau Mau since I was a little boy. That was before all that Rastafari stuff. And the Mau Mau had dreadlocks in opposition to the colonialists. And so when I came over and saw the Rastafarian had dreadlocks, I said, okay, so y'all like the Mau Mau because I got it from the Mau Mau. So that's cool. And this is where we're at now. So I read it. I gave my sources. I'm glad I came on. I'm glad whoever came on with me. I appreciate you all. One love. I'm out.